This is day 1512, the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. They were doing your Adeh Simrei Tzadik Dal Tip Tes Vav to Chav Aleph. Tes Vav Adad, the Gemara Yisham Isa, there it's specific Gemara Amalei Levi, the Shmuel Sapekli Vaniecho. Supply to me and I'll eat. Eravavia Varabba Baruchana, they supplied to each other. Ayin Sham. Klamar meaning Shosu, Sfekos, they made, he said, I was learned it actually. Sapekli means, like I just said, supply me. But it's not actually. That's what Baruch Shem points out. Sus fakos. Make it, in other words, let's learn last speak. But he said, no, it's fake. Make it a suffix me. Sus fakos. The first one made a suffix and the second one ate it. Do not bring this down. This school is only according to Shmuel. Medina. That when it says Orla is halacha, it's the Rabbanan. We hold like it's halacha Moshe Misinai. We're not so making line jump. Here's your doctor. We can question here. The amount of shach. Whichever way you look at it, Im Levi Rabbi Rabbas Filik Shmuel, if they all hold like Shmuel, Lama La Paskinon, look at Shmuel Neged Rabbi Yochanan. Why don't we paskin like Shmuel against Rabbi Yochanan? But look at Rabbi, looks like the majority of rabbis. If not Levi, shall go Harbe. Says Levi was very great. When the great students of Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, Mordechai saw Perakam Kedushin before she came that feel Rabbi Yochanan mutar so safek. But according to Mordechai says that even for Rabbi Yochanan you're allowed to generate a safek. Ayin sham. So I think therefore the readers of Ram not bring this down. It's not because Allah is not like this. Ella. Mishum devadei chacham ekmar also safek have a safek garmak dina so. Because the Chacham Gemara made it into a suffix, they knew how to make it a proper suffix. But gives the halacha for the masses, put this halacha out for the masses. Ef Sharkamar can't make this. Show that suffix karoy, they're not going to generate a proper suffix. It's only going to be like a joke. If you go about the Isser, and they're going to come across a definite Isser. So you can infer this from the Shas itself. Why does he have to tell Shmuel to make it a suffix? You couldn't find Tom, Dick, or Harry to make him a suffix? This is what he means to say. If you will do make it a suffix, then I'll eat it. Somebody else does it for me. Some people they don't rely on each other. Not others. So if he said that's why the Rambam, according to the strict letter of law, they left us out because most people cannot do this. In the bracket he says, so it seems to me clear with God's help. Test Zayin, but the mother should become orla, just like in a vineyard which has orla saplings. Mutli kos allowed to buy it outside it, but actually you're in a location as long as you don't see the person gathering. Kamochem became shkulu orla, so too the vineyard is completely orla, but the goy is selling outside the kerem. You're also allowed to buy from the Shem because they're not from this vineyard. Within it, it's also because then we assume it's definitely from this vineyard. Even though once you get even outside the vineyard, immediately outside the vineyard, it's more likely it comes from this vineyard. Never suffix miyavi, so it is a suffix. You already wrote, and if you're based, no matter how small the suffix, that's sufficient. Rambam, this emerges for me for the Rambam, also clear from the Yerushalmi. Shomer says on Mishnah, suffix or chule, you can go back and take it. So you can't see him gathering. Yerushalmi says, Eza suffix orla. Yerushalmi says, what's the suffix orla? Karam shel orla. A vineyard of Orla. Grapes sold outside of Chule, Ayin Sham. The B'suya is Machlokas, and Suya is Machlokas, that's okay. But Chutzar, it's a call, Chutzar, everybody agrees that that's fine. Ayin Sham Heitev. Yudzayin, Kosa Tuva Shechon Siv Yav, Chavish Shul Yana, Tmuna Bekem Shorla. If you find they have a barrel of wine which is hidden inside a orla vineyard, mutter, that barrel is mutter. She'ein aganav goynev mikaram zev v'toim mitocho. Aganav that's not steal from this vineyard and hide in this vineyard. Havanam shem tzitzunim, but grapes you should find hidden in the vineyard are certainly also shekocha v'dover. It's more likely shegunova mito mimenu that he stole these grapes from there, tmanam socha, and hid them inside there at kalshano. Ram wrote the same thing. The Rambam writes, however, that the wine in the barrel is also to drink. But no, you're allowed to benefit from it. Because the concern because maybe the thief was a guy. But the din said they asked this halacha basra. According to Reichina, holds that if you have a question of whether this comes from the majority of the world or from what's nearby, the proximity, we pass can go after the rove. Because also grapes and with the same side with the arm because go after the majority of the world. Sheinam orla. For Rosh Bemas Pasak Shamke, Rosh Pasak is this way. So that's the case also in terms of the theft. We could go after most people in the world who are non-Jews. Sorry, no, that's not going to work. 1 second. The grapes should be mutter. Sorry, the grapes should be mutter. Wrong question. Scratch that. The grapes should be mutter. We just said the grapes are also because we assume it came from this vineyard. But why? It came from most of the world, so it's not orla. But Yesh also answer that. I forgot the Rabbi China that we follow the road. We come Shat Sham. That's the language of Shat Sham. Avol Navi. It's Nui Matzne. Grapes are hidden inside of Mashish Emes Kain. Sounds like this is just truth. Usvar Gedali, the Genvua becomes as too great a svara to deny that came from this vineyard. That's the Taz and Lechem Mishnah. It's possible to say this. I don't think it's my close to. The bottom chutzor she's a suffix should mutter by chutzor. Any suffix is mutter. Any suffix is mutter. Bottom determined the grapes are certainly permitted. Chaygav the Maya Rosh Sham in that's the case of Rosh. But there ain't osek b'dei orla bevish bein eretz yisrael chutz loretz. In other words, that's why he doesn't say that, but because he's not distinguishing that discussion between Eretz and Chutzor. So Ram B'Tuv Shok B'Kan Shkos Dini Orla B'Eretz Yisrael V'Suya V'Chutzor Etz Kavanasam Kan Al Eretz Yisrael. And the Ram B'Tuv Shok they're writing this all specifically about Eretz Yisrael. V'Lo Choshel Arich L'Bayit V'Chutzor Etz Muter, and they're not concerned to write in Chutzor Etz Muter. Shem Melem move on. Mashkos Nikolim this understood automatically what they wrote previously. Back as it says it was Zas Shapid Echlo Tur Masker Das Ovi V'Duk. Makes sense. Why would the Torah not mention the Rosh? It must be that he assumed that we'd figure it out. I want to point out in the Big Day Shesha Ba'abatso, I wrote that even if you hold Rov Akar Harov, still there are parameters of logic involved, which I think is what he alludes to previously. And the Svara Gedoyla, obviously, you can't just ignore. Okay, any trees which produce fruit, Orla Orla applies to them. Meaning the brachas and says Orla la pera ninu. If something is not a pre vis-a-vis Orla because it's too unripe, the gabi bracha la pera ninu also in terms of bracha it's not a fruit. You don't make a bar prates and ela adoma. From this you learn the college bracha ha'etz no Orla. According to this, any time you make ha'etz, Orla applies. Fize agressin, Weinferlach, Malina. There's all kinds of berries. Avshinos katanos, even though they're small trees. Vanisha that book it's like an apple tree. Come nevertheless, Orla noibem, Orla applies to them. Sharim vorkel and bar prates. You make a bracha on these berries, bar prates. Mariel himself Beloshin said, Mariel will find in this language. Pairs like them belong to going Hintperon, Erperon, the Doimeim, and all of these trees are not Orla Kalashano. Vanachnu lo neida mahema. We don't know what these are. Somebody knows, doesn't have to conduct himself with halachas of orla with these trees. The olam does not keep orla on these trees which we mentioned, these berries. Flying peshkas of Mariel, maybe the fruit of the Mariel wrote. If they would we would assume that they come oil, they'd be also forever. The Chosho Shem Berach Muchachim Elkon, because every 3 years approximately you have to uproot them, to replant them because of their weakness. Now, one of these is strawberries. I don't know which one, but strawberries is a problem for this reason because strawberries, they can't last more than 3 years. Same with this issue. So therefore, if Arla applied, we're never allowed to eat strawberries. I think that's probably why making strawberries about Priyadama, because it's a wild bush which doesn't last, and therefore it's Adama, and that's why we don't have Orla in them. Um, if you're going to say in that there it says bracha said the bracha is linked to orla, and the brachas in these fruit is definitely this fruit is definitely eight. That could be that's only about where it's an absolute tree. If you understand about the issues of its various different type of produce, like by the caper tree, which has a bionis, a kafrisin, but in the primary tree, tzarich barlo ilon gomer. The barlo has to be an absolute tree. These are not really like trees. So that's why it's that. A little bit of evidence this show the people in Chayim barlo. It's possible to say that peppers are liable or ayin sham. Those days he poached orla. That they would have exempted from orla. But ilon gomer, and although peppers are absolute tree. I don't really make Adam on peppers, but Mashkasa Magan Avram Subserum Resh Beis Ayin Sham. Shum Ein B'Tzvus Tami Lanos, because it doesn't look like a generic tree. You can't gam Elo Shlosh Chashu Ein B'Tzvus Lanos. So these also, which again I think includes strawberries, are not considered to be trees. They're not subject to orla. But it says Ken Yerlan Yus Daiti. You test Hapero Shel Orla. The fruit of orla assumed by another also derive any benefit from. Benikar peri, whether it's fruit itself, benigrim, or the seeds, benaklipos, or the arakos, or the sloughed shells. Kamo klipe goes and rakim like the sloughed shells of nuts, which is on the food, klipe remanim, and pomegranate peels. See what it says, orla so es perio. Should make orla es perio, and es is larabos. So I say es larabos, es comes to include hatav perio, that which is subordinate to the fruit. Also the flowers, the flower which is on the stem. Vazagin and the bagarim shalnovim, the peels and the seeds of grapes. Vatemet and the mead which one makes them. Vapagim unripe fruit. Vatamarim and figs. She'enam misbashim which don't get ever ripe. Vanovim shaloko and grapes which are afflicted. Anyone which don't get completely ripe. Chen chobos and also any unripe fruit. Shemchol pears. All fruit chavim ba'orla. Chayel rak ba'orla chavim lo revai. They only have orla, not revai. The revai see pure yo. By revai it says its fruit. Lo ksiv s. It doesn't say s. Veidu chayav rak ikar pear, and therefore only the primary fruit is liable to revai. Yeshu so also tamarim she'em mizbashim outbai. The Shach brings down that it says back in Shach Sukkot ikar that there are those who aser dates even though they don't get fully ripe. But the leaves and the shoots make fanim and the water from a grapevine. When you cut the grapevine, note for me, mind, and something like water comes out of it. No, they're exempt from orla. Shem animal fields fail appear. They're not even considered to be subordinate to the fruit. Not so rather the tree itself. We don't like orla. There's no issa orla by the tree. Only by the fruit. Chav yesh min ilan slav is a type of caper tree. V'laz caper bloim. V'aza should be lanos. It's a very strong tree. It's a shlosh peros. Makes three different types of produce. Halin, the leaves, avioinas, kafrisin. I forget what these things are. Different types of caper. But shlosh peros also ripens very quickly. Peros shaloni karbo hayom. Fruit you don't see today. Nigma so yo shlosh yamin. It can be ripe in 3 days. The Avionis, the prime part of the fruit, you make eights on the Avionis. And also the Kafrisim, which are the shomer, they protect the fruit. Also make eights. But in the caper leaves, which are also eaten, can be able to you can also be in their youth. And inside the leaves, then it can be tomorrow's. They're kind of like buds which grow. Those are Adama. Come back, so Klum Chavim Barla. Now the scenarios you saw, they're all considered to be liable oil. Consider all of it be part of the fruit. Ain't oil rock by Bionis, Loba Kapsim Methmaros, Koch Kamal. Chutzlaretz is only oil by the Bionis, not the Kafrisin, Tomoros, and so not the leaves. But that's a reef. Rambam, the Gamber, so mutar kafrisin. In Eretz Yisrael, also the kafrisin are permitted. V'lova daitim shulchan, but their pay is not brought down in Shulchan Aruch. Barak says, "Ayin grua she is sipkon nav she hiskim daitam kashken yigaladina." But the Gemara writes that that's the halacha in Eretz Yisrael. Chafal shlosha shalosh shanim shel orla einam nimim yom liyom. The 3 years of orla not counted from day to day. Elazina chesh nas olam. Go after the year of the world. Shorosh Hashanah. Become the shloshi yom shana chashim shana, and 30 days in the year is considered a year. So if it's become an ach yushu she'ilam baretz, but we also then until the tree is considered to have taken prop root in the ground, tzarich yadad yom you need 40 days in the day it's planted. V'alam yom tzarich shom bizman shushu shabaretz, and 30 days you start counting from the time it takes root in the ground. Therefore, so you planted 44 days before Rosh Chodesh Tishrei. Vayim b'tes v'avav, and it's in Tubav. Koshka mikodim is going to be planted before that. Next Shov Shana Orla, those 44 days are considered to be a year for Orla ad Tishrei. Hamnam the time Bereish Rosh Hashanah, even though it says Rosh Hashanah, the Betu B'Shvat, Rosh Hashanah Ilanis, and Tu B'Shvat is Rosh Hashanah for trees. Because by trees that go after the budding, l'chol davar, for all matters, l'masros l'shvius. And by the time Tu B'Shvat passes, most of the rain of the year has passed. And the sap has gone up in the trees. And the trees start budding. The fruit starts budding. Even though it's 44 days of the year, and if you wait 2 more years until the third Rosh Hashanah, so you say 3 years more are complete. Nevertheless, the tradition remains intact. The Tu B'Shvat after the Rosh Hashanah, because that's the Rosh Hashanah for trees. What you gain is you gain you gain with that which you consider a year in those 44 days. Hayomim, the days in the third year, for days between Tu B'Shvat and Tezayin Av. Since you in after Revai, the prohibition lasts in Tu B'Shvat is after the 4th year. Orla, it is the 3 years of Orla plus the halacha of Revai. Okay, we will stop here for today.